Boom!
Bam! Welcome to another episode of Mike Sports, everybody. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Landry. Landry, a lot to talk about tonight, so don't care about how you're doing. So we're
What a week of football, though, man. What a week.
Right?
Salute to all those who watch football this week.
Yeah, if you're a football fan, and I'm pretty sure if you're checking out our podcast, you're probably a football fan.
Yep.
What a weekend. Super wild card weekend indeed. It was just lots of great action, close games. It was a lot of fun. And then you had the national championship game on Monday night, which was a grade A ass whooping that Alabama put on Ohio State. And, I feel like it's time. I think it's time for Alabama to officially go pro.
I heard a good debate today. I was hearing who's the best coach. Is it Bear Bryant or is it
I'll put it up there.
And debate was pretty hardcore. So I'm putting the stats up right here on the screen for you, so you can see a little bit. Obviously, what I think stands out with Saban is not only does he have a better winning percentage. I mean, not like marginally way up.
Yeah.
But look at the amount of time he accomplished the championships that he did in 10, 13 years?
Yeah, 13 years.
7 championships in 13 years. So in less than half the time.
That's one every other year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's insane. They've not gone longer than
that's how many he's won, not how many appeared in.
Right. Yeah, they've appeared in. How many others they lost? They lost the Clemson one.
They lost 2, I think, right?
Yeah, Clemson and the first year of the playoffs to Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they got that revenge.
Yeah, a little bit. Ooh.
Now, would you say, I haven't seen the stats, but let's just take a guess. Mm-hmm. Was that Alabama offense better than LSU's offense of last year?
I think so. I really do. And if you look at it, Alabama's offense from a year ago, or LSU, offense from a year ago, with Joe Burrow leading the charge, and he was phenomenal. But then you have the Jabbar Chase, you have the rest of the receivers around him. But then look at what Alabama has. I mean, Devontae Smith, was it that Minchie and why am I drawing a blank? Waddle is the other one. What other receiver? And Mac Jones, I think, definitely played himself into a first rounder. What else can you say? That's just a phenomenal effort by, again, what's going to go down as one of the all-time teams in college football. I wonder if, though, that this team gets kind of, not necessarily this team, but the whole Alabama as a whole, will we remember in 15 years or 20 years, will we remember individual Alabama teams, or will it just be, hey, do you remember those Alabama teams of the early 2000s?
For me, the one I'm always going to remember the most was the one that Derrick Henry was on against that Clemson team. Those 2 years, I think they faced their toughest competition with Watson around and whatnot. So Alabama winning the first one, Clemson winning the second, fight, right? I got that right? First,
yeah, you were right. Yeah.
That was, to me, the 2 powerhouses of very equal value on the field at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, obviously, Ohio State and Alabama, it looked like coming into the game, after what Ohio State did Clemson, we might have a good game.
Right.
Obviously, the pedigree of program and the actual physicality of Alabama just crushed. And first of all, I was almost offended watching that game. When I saw a linebacker covering Smith, I was like, okay, scheme-wise, someone's not doing something right, or he thought he had zone over the back. But I saw that dude huffing and puffing trying to get to Smith multiple times. So somewhere in there, that defense of Ohio State did not make the adjustment. Not that you could cover Smith, but at least throw double coverage on him. Do something.
Yeah, I think you hit on it right. Alabama, they found a way to get their mismatches And whenever they did that, Ohio State had no answer for it. It's like they couldn't adjust to it. I was even trying to, like I'm watching and I'm thinking, okay, like there are things you can do to get better matchups on there. Like just start playing some more man-to-man or even it's like a variation like the cover 2 where you throw out there 2 safeties over the top and just say, okay, up front we're playing man, but then our safeties are kind of playing a zone. But like they didn't really try any adjustment. And I know if that's not the style that you run, it's hard to sit there in mid-game and say, okay, we're going to start running this style that we've never run before. But like, man, it just seemed like you had to make some kind of adjustment. And you had to have a plan for that. Like you didn't plan on the Heisman Trophy winner going buck wild on you. Like I don't understand how that wasn't part of your game plan.
Yeah, I didn't either. I mean, when I saw that multiple times, not to mention, to me, the Alabama offensive line just destroyed the defensive line about 90% of the time. I mean, there were huge gashes and easy holes for them to run.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Going to the game, I was even one of the people that said, hey, I think Alabama is the better team, but Ohio State has a chance of upsetting them. I was clearly wrong. They showed a little bit in the beginning, but by the end of the second quarter, I was clearly wrong about that was a complete mismatch of a team. Obviously Clemson. So when you look back at it, the rankings were only off by Clemson and Ohio State should have switched spots. But Alabama being number 1 was clearly the right choice in the polls. And even with Ohio State being number 6, they obviously were only having 6 games. We're obviously still better than Clemson, which still surprises me, the whooping that they put on Clemson. But I don't know if Clemson just had a bad day or they literally were just that much better than Clemson. So that makes me think, well, shit, if Ohio State was to have faced Clemson, that score would have even been a bigger spread.
Well, I mean, college football, it's a game of matchups, and sometimes you just match up better with a team. And I think what happened in the case of Ohio State and Clemson is, like, I think if they played several times, like, I think we'd find out they're pretty even overall. But
really?
I think so.
I don't know if I agree with that. I say a 60-40 split in wins. I don't think it's like every other game the other team would take it.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think you'd see that Ohio State was that much head and shoulders above Clemson. I think you had a couple of factors, just the preparation, and look, it could have been a bad night, but also like Ohio State, the story came out, and I know I talked about this before about Dabo Swinney saying in his coaches poll, putting Ohio State 11th in his coaches poll, and that's bulletin board material. And it's an easy thing when you can find something like that, just gift wrap to help your team get more motivated for a playoff game.
Ask the Browns.
Sure.
The Browns know what it's like, that bulletin material. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Juju Smith-Schuster. And then even Chase Claypool, after the fact, still stalking smacks and whatever, they're going to get whooped in the next round. I'm sorry, who are you guys playing this week?
Right.
What time's the team?
Let's wrap up our college conversation. Do you think that's the best Alabama team you've ever seen? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I do. How about you?
No, I'm still going to have to go. First of all, I think LSU team could have beat that Alabama team, in my opinion. And I think when I say that, and the reason I think that is probably because I think Mac Jones put it against a better team that had a better defensive line that could take Alabama on. I don't think Mac Jones would have been able to pull off some of the throws he was able to get off. Where I will say is I think the LSU team of last year versus Alabama this year would have been a pretty good heavyweight fight, in my opinion.
Sure.
I would have liked to. Sometimes you wish you could take 2 teams from 2 different, even eras sometimes, and just throw them in and see what happens. Like 85 Bears versus the Steel Curtain and the Steelers, like stuff like that would have been just colossal. Mm-hmm. But look, man, no doubt. I got a feeling that Saban's not done. I'm sure he may end up with 1 to 3 more by the time he hangs that up. And if he keeps this up, I really don't know another program right there with Trevor leaving Clemson. The Clemson's backup isn't near
right
them unless they're going to go source somebody else that I'm unaware of. But Anyway,
Well, the kid that started the Notre Dame game, I forget his name, but he's probably next in line.
yeah, no, I know who they're going to put in. I'm just saying, you don't have a Watson and you don't have another Lawrence. The next guy up isn't as good as those two.
Right.
So we'll see what Clemson, if this is like where they start to downturn, or if they're going to recruit somebody in that we're unaware of.
Right.
So, maybe you got to get Jalen Hurts. You never know. This game's weird like that.
Sure, yeah. If you can scrape up some eligibility somewhere.
All right, now let's get to our juicy NFL.
Yeah, so of course we had Super Wildcard weekend this past weekend, and what a weekend. I want to talk about the playoff matchups, and then we'll wrap it up with our coaching discussions, and a lot to talk about there. The LA Rams start off the divisional round. This is always one of my favorite rounds because this is when you have the four best teams. Well, typically it was, you have 4 teams with a bye. This year, only 2. But you're going to get the best teams out there this weekend. The LA Rams versus the Green Bay Packers are in the first game. And I got to come out here again and tell you guys I was wrong about the LA Rams.
Well, we'll see. So I was wrong for picking them to win at one point where they clearly got slaughtered, but that may have just been a hiccup, and maybe they're actually back on track. Goff looked like he wanted to play football again and be a starter, which caught me off guard altogether. And he
didn't start the game. In 2 years in a row, the Seattle Seahawks defense throws a cheap hit on the starting quarterback in the wild card round, and
the Seahawks. I'm not a big fan of any team coached by Pete Carroll because every time he takes a team, he always creates some kind of culture that I just don't like on his teams. Never been a big fan of him as a coach, but in this game though, it's in Lambeau. So even though I actually think I'm still on the Rams a little bit being a hot team again. I got a feeling they're going to get frozen in the tundra, and I'm going to go with Green Bay because I've seen Green Bay pull off miracles in Lambeau. I've seen them pull off miracles, period, with Rodgers, but for some reason in Lambeau, it is extremely hard, crowd or no crowd, to beat them in that freaking stadium.
Yeah, and look, it's January and it's Lambeau, and this is a Southern California team coming out there. Jared Goff's not going to be 100% yet. Aaron Donald, not 100%. But look, it's January, and who is 100% in January? If you're 100% in January, it means you didn't play much this year.
Yeah.
But I'll take the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to go Packers just because my big belief is in January, they put Rodgers in the bottom of the stadium and cryo sleep in a giant block of ice, and they freeze him, and they thaw him back out game day. So that's why I think I'm going to go Green Bay.
And the thing is, they save a lot on electricity because since it's in Green Bay, they don't have to actually do anything to freeze him. They just leave him there with no heat on, and he just.
Yeah, if you've ever seen the movie The Thing, when they find the alien in the block of the ice, same thing. The Swedes come in and they take care of Rodgers in the ice.
Yeah, I mean that's common knowledge. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that by now. That's what they do with Rodgers. But yeah. Okay, so the Baltimore Ravens go into another tropical climate this Saturday night as they play the Buffalo Bills, the tropic retreat that is Orchard Park in Buffalo.
Yeah. First of all, let's talk about Lamar's performance.
Yeah.
He pulled it off, monkey's off his back, but you can clearly tell he's got a bit of an attitude about it.
Yeah, and then talking about
he
the
probably
fact that
paid more attention to the media than I thought he did.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at that. I'm going to go Bills because of weather, and I think the Bills I think their defense can actually handle Lamar.
Yeah, and there's something about this Bills team. I've been on their bandwagon all year, and I can't get off now. I'll take the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I'm going to go Bills too. Not a lot of controversy between us on that one.
Right. Then on Sunday, the early game on Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern kickoff, the Cleveland Browns at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Here's the deal. So I am not a big fan of extended sitting for a team that was hot. So Kansas City, to me, not having played in a while, may be a little out of the rhythm, and I've seen them come off slow. However, they also have some of the greatest comebacks after being down in the first and second quarter of any game. So, I'm weighing it here or whatnot. I'm going to go Kansas City, but man, there's a big part of me hoping the Browns upset them. I can't lie.
Sure. I think Kansas City, but like you, I think this could be a slow start. This is a game that, now with the online betting, this is one of those, I want to wait to see if they go down early. I want to bet the game in game. Like last year when the Chiefs went down 24-0 to Houston, I right away, as soon as it got to 24, I went on my app and I in-game bet the Chiefs to win. And it was easy money.
You and probably a million other people. Yeah. And here's the thing. The Browns also showed that they can come out and whip you and punch you in the face, but they can fade away towards the last two quarters and let a bunch of points get put up.
Oh, yeah. And
so because of that,
I bet that game Sunday night, and I bet Cleveland.
So even if the Browns come out on fire, and I'm like, okay, cool, at least we got a game here. There's that other part of me that's going, the Chiefs are a lot better than the freaking Steelers, and they can put up a lot more points than the Steelers did in the end of the game.
Right.
So I'm going to stick with Kansas, ultimately.
Yeah, me too. Tampa Bay at New Orleans.
3-peat.
Yeah, round 3.
Are the Saints going to make it a 3-round? I'm going to go yes, because history shows in the regular season, if you face a team 3 times, you're likely going to beat them one of those times. Or I'm sorry, if you go face them twice and once in the playoffs. In this case, I'm going to have to go Saints. I'm feeling a little bit of Jaguars versus Titans here. 3 losses to the Titans. For some reason, I'm feeling like a lot of synergy in this. You can't take anything away from Brady. The fact that he's come this far and that he won the divorce against Bill Belichick at this point, and he threw
there's no doubt about
that. Touchdowns at 43 years old. Even Warren Moon somewhere is freaking doing a little happy dance for old people. So I'm going to go Saints, but I actually want to try to put a score on this one. I'm going to go Saints, and I'm going to go Saints by 14. I think they're going to put up 2 just untouchable touchdowns and create a spread.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of one of those cases where it's, just too much Drew Brees, too much Alvin Kamara, and that Saints offense just being able to methodically move down the field. I think it's one of those things where I think the Bucs go back and forth with them for a little bit, but it's just that Bucs defense gets worn out from being on the field so much. Well,
and the Bucs haven't showed me at this point any reason why they're better than the last time they played the Saints.
Yeah.
They haven't. I'll give them one, Antonio Brown. This chemistry between Tom and Antonio Brown has picked up, but not enough to offset the amount of points that the Saints will put up.
Yeah, I agree with you. And look, Drew Brees got one of his big weapons back this past week, Michael Thomas. Yeah, he had been injured for the last month, and all he did was first possession, score the first touchdown of the game.
Think about this, man. Let's say we're right so far on our picks, which we seem to be on the same page. Let's say Saints play the Packers.
Yeah.
Who you got in that?
Can I check the weather report in Green Bay?
Yeah, that one's hard, man, because I'm going to be rooting for the Saints because in Green Bay they don't call catches, so I don't like Green Bay for any reason whatsoever anymore. And I think that the weather will be acclimatable, and Rodgers. It all depends how Rodgers looks in this game. If Rodgers shows some flaws, sure. I'm like, but if he looks like he has in the last 3 games, I'm like, they're going to be hard to beat up in Lambeau.
Yeah, I'm going to be pulling for the Saints, mainly because I feel like Drew Brees is one of those guys who hasn't really been appreciated in his time.
Yeah.
For as good as it was Rodgers and Brady and Peyton Manning going back and forth, and you had Drew Brees sitting there, and it's and he's competing with those guys. He's competing with the Aaron Rodgers types.
And think about it. Aaron and Brees both suffer from the same thing. They need that other Super Bowl to really solidify them in history. Otherwise, they look like a Dan Marino with 1 Super Bowl under their belt.
Right, and I think this is probably Drew Brees' last chance.
Yeah, this is why I'd probably root for Breeze over that. I'm going to go. I always root for the NFC over the AFC either way. So whoever they face, unless it's the Browns. I don't know, man. If the Browns make a Super Bowl, I might have to jump on the Browns bandwagon just to say the freaking doghouse took somebody down for a Super Bowl.
If there's one game that we if we're sitting there, we picked all 4 games the same. If we were to sit there and say, okay, so you're going to get one of these games wrong, which one would you want to get wrong? I would say I'd like to get the Kansas City-Cleveland game wrong. Because how cool would it be for all the years of both fan bases suffering, a Cleveland-Buffalo AFC championship game?
Yeah. And any team that is willing to celebrate and throw a parade for having 0 wins is a team that I can freaking root for. I can get behind that.
But it's just saying, hey, look, no matter how bad we stink, we're not going away. We're still going to be fans.
Yeah, we love our team no matter what you have to say about us. We celebrate rain or shine. And I really appreciate that about them. And I do think at this point they've become deserving. And I heard a debate today that I joined in on between some friends that if Baker was to take them and win a Super Bowl, would that put him as more popular than LeBron? And I would say absolutely, because of how much that state loves football over basketball. Yeah. Football dominates Ohio. So Cleveland knocking that out would he turned into a god overnight. His commercials will freaking turn, exponential. I've already seen enough of them. It'd help if they stopped replaying the same freaking one during a game. That would help me enjoy them a little more.
Yeah, the ones with him living at the stadium.
Yeah, like him bringing the bags and dropping the keys. Like they showed them 4 times during the same game. I was like, all right, I'm losing it. So
between that one and the forgetting stuff in the house and having to keep going through security to come back to go back in the stadium.
That one was better. That one was better.
Yeah.
It was funny to watch him in and out. So, with airport security.
My favorite one is when he sees rain coming and he's like, come on, we have to cover up the furniture.
He gets one chair covered. Yeah, and it shows all the chairs. I still like the bathroom. I like the bathroom toilets being broken. That's my favorite one. Yeah.
But I know Jody's favorite is the one where he's down at the fuse box. I don't know. I just don't know.
Let's talk coaches.
Yeah. So in case you're living under a rock, and this goes out, our show goes out to a lot of Philly. No, we go, all over the place. We get viewers from everywhere, but a good portion is the Philly family here at the Phillyverse and NSN Philly. So to me, it was a big shock that on Monday the Eagles parted ways with Doug Pederson. Just 3 years removed from the Super Bowl championship, in which he paraded down Broad Street and said that was the new norm. Well, it didn't work out that way, and I do think he deserved a better fate. If this was a power struggle between Carson Wentz and Doug Pederson, I think Carson might want to be careful what he wishes for, because I think Doug Pederson was a good coach. Now, some of his play calling I think was lacking.
Sure.
But I will stand there on the mountain and say that the big problem with the Eagles organization was not Doug Pederson. It was the talent put around him by Howie Roseman, the general manager, and how that guy has managed to keep a job. It's just criminal that he is stealing a paycheck from the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, look, okay, so my opinion from an outsider's point of view is I think it was a mistake to fire Doug Pederson personally. I'd love to fire Mike McCarthy and have Doug Pederson as our coach if it was up to me and the Cowboys organization. I think what hurts the Eagles in this move, we can talk the Wentz part separately, is I think this actually hurts getting the right coach for the Eagles, because I think what's happened now, and despite what you thought of the previous coaches and whatnot, you've fired 3 coaches with winning records and one, once removed or had one bad year, kind of like Carson Wentz having a bad year, and not giving them a chance to redeem themselves, I think doesn't bode well for coaches you're trying to attract when they see that, right? Mm-hmm. It basically looks like, okay, if I do really good but I have one slump, you're going to kick me out. And when you're trying to get like a Lincoln Riley, which is their front runner according to sources, there's no way he's going to leave Oklahoma to go into that possibly happening to him. There's no way he'll do it. And
yeah, I think that would be very foolish on him.
And he is the next. I mean, as soon as Lincoln Riley's available, he's the next hot commodity a lot of teams are going to be trying to grab. Mm-hmm. And I do. He's an innovator of offense, so I think he would be an excellent coach on the Eagles or whoever he wants to go to. But I don't think he'll take the Eagles because of watching Andy Reid, have a winning season and then a bad one and fired. Watching Chip Kelly, and I know you said he's trained downwards, but he still had a winning season, and then he was fired. And now Doug Pederson had a winning season, and then a down, and he was fired. I just don't think that looks good. Hey, and my team, no one wants to come to my team because of Jerry Jones. So I get having a bad presence. We can only attract coaches who will do what they're told, which I don't enjoy about my recruiting for coaches on the Cowboys. So I can really understand it. I just think, coaches. Put it this way, in my opinion, and this is outside, we can debate it.
Sure.
He didn't become a bad coach. He had a quarterback who had a bad year and a bunch of injuries. I don't know how you put that on Doug Pederson at the end of the day and you sell that other than a power struggle being the only reason you go, well, maybe he didn't do so bad or whatnot. And I listened to Jeffrey Lurie talk, and he basically contradicts himself. He said he basically doesn't deserve it, but I did it anyways. I mean, basically is what he said.
Yeah, look. I think also there's a third possibility. Like you said, the two possibilities being, was there a power struggle with Carson Wentz, and was it an overreaction to a bad year? And I'm just saying
it looks like a reaction to a bad year to coaches maybe trying to come in is what I would worry about.
Yeah, no. But I'm saying I think that there's a third possibility of what happened here, and that in the last game of the season, when Doug Pederson, in a lot of people's minds, professionals and probably a lot of players, really kind of
maybe lost the locker room.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
I think that might have been a concern.
But if Jeffrey Lurie was to keep him, back him up, Hurts start winning in the first couple of games, or Wentz, whoever starts in the next season or whatnot, that would easily be put behind, I think, pretty quickly.
I do too. I just think that Jeffrey Lurie probably thought, do I really want to put this? Like, one of the things he's done now with two straight coaches, when he's seen the arrows start to go in the wrong direction, he hasn't hesitated. He's pulled the plug.
Yeah, he cuts bait. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the Eagles are a little bit of a player-controlled team in a lot of ways. They kind of remind me of like a current NBA team where the stars have a lot of say in what's going on.
And
I don't like what's happening with the Texans and Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson wants to be in an organization that works like that, and they do, and they not. And I mean, we should talk about that in a minute too, because Texans are looking for a head coach. So let's talk about all the coaches. But to the Eagles, like, first of all, like I'm glad Doug Pederson, because I actually thought he was hard to play against as a Cowboy. Now, if you get someone way better, obviously I'm like, well, shit. But
can we get Doug Pederson?
When I saw their candidate list today of everybody they've scheduled to interview, I was real disappointed when I saw the linebackers coach won. I was like, what? I was like, what are you doing? Like, look, it's not like I want you to win, but I'm also sitting there going, I like a competitive league. Like, don't become a flat team now on me where your games are boring.
So all of a sudden, this show doesn't become as good if you and I are sitting here talking about, and you're thinking, hey, the Cowboys could win this division, and I'm sitting there, hey, the Eagles could pick in the top 5 this year. Like, that's not fun.
Yeah, from the beginning, that's not what we want, right? So, we're not fair weather fans. We want a competitive league regardless. Like I said, I love that the Browns are now competitive. One more team to cross off my list that I can actually watch on TV and not be like, oh, what a shit game. Like the Jets.
Right. One more team, you're not like, oh, wait, let's see who's on today. The Browns. Do I have some yard work I can do? Like,
yeah, man. So I was I don't know. I was real disappointed because, like I said, I fear you guys trying to attract the right coach, unless it's someone like, Bieniemy or somebody like that, who's kind of like, I'm a player's guy anyway, so I can handle an Eagles but that's if you can sell him. Because if I'm a coach going into an Eagles interview right now, I want a guarantee 4-year contract that you can't fire me. Because for a down year, I would say, hey, if I have less than like 7 wins, you can put me on the hot seat for the next year I'm fired if I repeat that or something. But if I have winning seasons, I can't be fired. Like, I'd want that in my contract at this point with the Eagles.
Right. And look, that part aside, even look at like this job versus some other jobs. Like, what separate, like, Jeffrey Lurie's got to get out of his head that this is the gold standard that he likes to say. Because, like, if you look around, this is not an attractive job. Like, you have a quarterback competition at the very least between Carson Wentz, who's supposed to be your franchise quarterback, and Jalen Hurts. So, and usually, like the saying goes, we talked about it last week, when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. So, okay.
You got lots of injuries. I mean, you basically got one good lineman left right now that's good and healthy on offensive line.
You have an aging roster.
Wide receiver problems. I mean, you're basically looking for a fixer to come in, but a fixer's going to go, I need time. And if that time means you're going to fire me
while you're in
time that a player doesn't like me or that my season just isn't that good, he's going to go, then I can't build.
Right. And then all you get are the guys who are just, wow, an opportunity to be a head coach. Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
As opposed to the guys who want to get the right spot and are willing to do the work once they get there.
Yeah, you're basically going to get the offensive coordinators and the defensive coordinators, for lack of thereof, from teams that aren't that good, just so that they can have a shot of being on a better team.
Retreads like an Adam Gase.
Yeah, you're going to get someone like, oh, it's part of the Jets. Let me come over to the Eagles now and stuff like that.
Right.
I don't know. I don't have the full list in front of me. I mean, I can bring it up real quick, but I remember Bieniemy. I remember Lincoln Riley is their number one choice who they're trying to poach.
Sure.
I can almost guarantee he's not going to take it just because.
I think Lincoln Riley's a pipe dream. Robert Saleh from San Francisco, he's one. Was it Smith from the Bills, the offensive coordinator?
He might be a good pick. Mm-hmm. I think he's actually a decent pick. As I said, there are some good ones out there, but right now, when you put a list up of who you're interviewing, that's great, but a lot of these guys are going to have the same questions me and you're talking about when they go in the meeting room. And I'm like, Jeffrey Lurie, you're sitting with the same GM that was sitting with the coach who got fired. Why didn't you replace the GM too, so the coach can feel him and the GM have a fresh start to do this right? I'm with you. I don't understand the GM hold. There's got to be something this dude's got on Jeffrey Lurie or something.
Right.
Like I caught you with your secretary. Don't ever fire me, or I'll post the pictures on my Facebook, or something.
I swear he must, Howie Roseman must have pictures of Jeffrey Lurie with the pool boy.
Yeah,
that's the only thing I can think of.
Either that, or he's with Robert Kraft down in Florida, and he's got photos of it. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I was real surprised, and I even was watching the network today, and they were saying a lot of the same thing. They're like, "How was Roseman there?" And Doug Pederson, who didn't even deserve to get fired, get tossed, but Roseman's still sitting there. I don't get it. But you know what? I mean, it's not my team. In the end of the day, I can only put so much stock in knowing. I think just from a logical standpoint, usually if you're going to get rid of a coach like that, well, then get rid of the GM and let everybody get off to a good start again. Yeah.
I mean, since 2017, Howie Roseman has not drafted a single Pro Bowler. Not one. Not one guy that Howie Roseman has drafted since the 2017
Jewish connection, man. A Jewish freaking connection or something. Some nepotism somewhere in there. He's like a third cousin of a donkey or something somewhere. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah.
So let's talk other coaching vacancies. We got the Chargers. We got the Texans. Who else we got?
Chargers, Texans, Jets.
Jags.
Yeah.
I think the Jags is actually a lucrative job now with Trevor Lawrence could be their pick.
Right.
You bring them in. They have tons of room in the cap.
And lots of rumors about Urban Meyer ending up in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Well, fuck. It's not like he doesn't know the area.
Sure.
Yeah.
That would make a lot of sense to me. Look, Lincoln Riley, if somebody's going to poach him away from Oklahoma, why not Jacksonville?
Or, he's in Oklahoma. He could be a Texans coach. If Deshaun Watson, if you could convince him to stay with your offensive mind and get you some receivers. I mean,
and that might be what it takes to get Deshaun Watson back.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. If you set Deshaun Watson down and you said, if we go get Lincoln Riley, will you kind of calm down about how you're feeling and give it a chance if we let Lincoln Riley come in, work with you, innovate the offense, and get you some wide receivers, I got to phone Deshaun Watson and be like, that's the right direction. I'm down with that. He's an innovator, kind of like a Matt LaFleur has been for Aaron Rodgers. I think he would feel like, okay, now you're talking my game. And the fact that they would bring him to the table to talk to him about it would also calm him down.
It's funny. I think that, like, if I'm Lincoln Riley and I look around and I see the two biggest teams that are coming after me are the Philadelphia Eagles and the mess that they've had in their organization, and the Houston Texans and the mess that they're having, like, all of a sudden Lincoln Riley gets a call from the Oklahoma athletic director and it's like, so if we give you this big raise, will you stay? I'm staying anyway, man. Just stop
Well,
talking.
and here's the deal. Here's what I don't understand why people don't talk about this. Doug Pederson was making $4 million a year.
Right.
Lincoln Riley's making $6.6 million a year of Oklahoma. Why in the hell would I take an equal? Let's say the Eagles like, okay, we'll come up 2.6. Why would I parallel move to a job that I could be out of in 2 to 3 years?
Oh, no. If you're going to look at Lincoln Riley, it's got to be $10 million a year, I think.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sitting there going, it's starting to be thought about that if you're a good college head coach, you're in the top 10 head coaches in college, you're almost making what some of the best NFL dudes are making.
Yeah. I mean, to me, that kind of takes away from the aspirations to want to be a coach in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Look, when you're a college coach, you right away, like, if you're in a good program, you have an opportunity for 3 years before you really have to worry about your job being in jeopardy. And
not only that, I don't understand. I really don't get it. Like, being an NFL head coach is so much harder. Now, not from a work standpoint. Okay, being an NFL head coach is simpler, right? No recruiting. You ain't got to do all that kind of shit. But your legacy, if you're a decent head coach, you're there like minimum 7 years.
Yeah, if you're a decent head coach in the NFL, like, I mean, you can be there for, like you said, 7 to 10 years. If you're a decent college coach, you are a legend in that.
No, I was talking college, 7 to 10 years. In the NFL, even if you're a good coach, just won a Super Bowl, the Eagles just proved 3 years out.
You're out the door.
Jimmy Johnson won a Super Bowl, fired. Like, I mean, it's ego. It's
Jimmy Johnson was not the norm. Like that,
right? Like in college, you have like board of directors, you have boosters, you have people that if they all like you, it has to be voted on to get you out. Not like one person says, "Oh, you're out." The athletic director ultimately answers to the boosters at the end of the day.
Sure.
Right? And whereas in the NFL, if the owner just doesn't like you anymore, he's not feeling it, you're out. Didn't matter how good you did.
Yeah, you could have just won a Super Bowl like Jimmy Johnson.
I don't see it anymore, man. I don't see the incentive to be an NFL coach like I once did. The salaries are, I mean, Bill Belichick, I think is making like 12.2. And
he's the best. He's probably the best ever.
Yeah. Whereas Nick Saban is making, I think, 10.4. You're telling I wouldn't give up $1.8 when I'm already making $10 million to go take a 3-year shot. No way.
No.
I just don't see
everybody who's just like every year they're like, oh, is Nick Saban going to jump back to the NFL? Why?
Yeah, I know. I don't see
Why
it.
would he can coach as long as he wants at Alabama.
Like, he'll coach until he will
years.
retire an Alabama coach.
Yeah,
I think retire an Alabama coach, no doubt. So, okay, who do you think? Speaking of the Texans, not only do her coach, if Watson was to leave, I think I have 3 landing spots I think are perfect for him. Yeah. I think if they wanted to, Miami Dolphins could give Tua in a bunch of trades, like been rumored a little bit already. I think Miami would be a good spot with Brian Flores. It's a black GM, a black coach, and Deshaun Watson. I think that might cultivate with what he's been saying about what he was talking about the Texans from a culture standpoint, right? I also think the Patriots would be an ultimate, because here's the deal. Why in the world would he, someone said Chicago today, and I said, that's crazy. Chicago passed on him. Why in the hell would he ever want to go there? A cold, windy city, and be with the 2 guys who didn't pick Trubisky over him. Why would you want to go there? So Pats, Jaguars to me, and 49ers, I think would be an awesome landing spot for him.
Yeah, I could definitely see San Francisco as well. That would be another good, I think, fit for him and for the city there. Yeah. I think those are the logical ones.
Unless you can get Lincoln Riley. Or what if the Jaguars would say, we'll give you the first pick. You go to Deshaun Watson. we'll give you the first pick. You can go get Trevor Lawrence. And Houston's like, all right, we'll take Trevor Lawrence. My deal with that is I would give Trevor Lawrence up for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson
he's a proven commodity.
Yeah, he's not even a proven commodity. He's one of the best I've ever seen, period. Like,
He's
if Mahomes wasn't
passing this year on a 4-win team.
Yeah, if Mahomes didn't exist, Watson is the next best player in the NFL or at a quarterback position. He makes fucking something out of nothing. And I think he's that talent that, man, it take every 25 years someone like him pops up to grab, like a him and a Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
And got to be proven. Like, you didn't know Mahomes was that good. But Deshaun Watson was always that good.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm the Cowboys and I had a shot to get Watson, no offense to Dak, you're out. We'll give you our next 2 first-round picks for the next 2 years, and we'll give you Dak. Give me Deshaun. Well, I'd take Deshaun Watson over any player other than maybe Mahomes. And even if Mahomes won the thing, I'd have to think about it, which one I want based on my offense.
Yeah, I agree with you. If I'm building a team, and you say, okay, you can't have Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback. Deshaun Watson's my next choice, honestly. Yeah. I mean, Josh Allen, there's some other guys who you throw in that mix. But, I mean, if you're not taking a long look at Deshaun Watson, then you probably haven't been watching much football. Like, that guy is that talented.
Yeah, I don't, man, I've seen that guy pull freaking rabbits out of a hat in the middle of a play, and I'm like, without him, the Texans aren't even relevant. J.J. Watt apologized to him during the last game for basically wasting his time.
Now, I want to talk about somebody who, before we get out of here, I want to talk about someone who may have played their last game on Sunday. Actually, 2 guys may have played their last game on Sunday.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you bringing me up. Look, I want to tell all the fans. All right, Keelan.
Yeah, that flag football game I know was really tough.
Yeah, dude, when I was playing Madden, man, that may have been my last time I picked up Madden, man. I may need to retire. Madden 18, which I still play. I may need to retire on Madden 18.
But Ben Roethlisberger certainly had a tough game right from the start. The first snap going over his head and turned into a touchdown for the Browns. Yeah. And then the interception a few plays late, or was it 1 play later? I think it was the next play.
It was a slaughter either way.
Yeah. I mean, look, he had a bad night. That was a bad night at the office for Ben Roethlisberger. And, of course, when you've been in the league as long as he has, since 2005, that's 15 years in the league, and you have a day like that, that probably makes you question whether or not you should keep going.
Well, if your heart's on it, but your talent's not as good, if that's the case, let's have you start mentoring the new person and still have you on the team. If your heart's just kind of slowing down about the game, your need to want to do, off-season workouts and camps is kind of dying down. I listened to a good interview with Warren Moon today, and Warren Moon said, I knew when I didn't want to play anymore because I didn't want to go to the summer camp anymore. I didn't want to do all that stuff anymore. He's like, I didn't mind getting on the field and throwing a ball, but I didn't want to do everything it took to be in shape to do that anymore. That's when he said he knew.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of guys say, when they talk about the game, it's like, oh, man, obviously on game days, I'm excited and I miss it. And I think, man, I'd love to be back out there. He's like, but then on Monday when I wake up and I think about the way I'd feel on Monday mornings, I didn't miss that. When I think about the work I'd have to do, in the off season and all the mini camps and stuff, I didn't miss that. And that was how they knew that they were done. Because everybody gets up for game day, but can you get up for all the work and the preparation that goes into it?
Yeah, everything that it takes to be ready for game day. Do you still want to do that? And, after age 37, they all start reconsidering whether they want to be doing it. Yeah. So, what's his name of the Rams, the lineman? Willsworth? What's his name?
Whitworth, yeah.
I got to give him credit, man. That dude is still playing top-notch for his age. He's got a lot of wear and tear on him, got some good injuries under his belt, and that dude's still in there saying, McVay is the reason why I'm still playing. He's re-energized me at my age to want to be out there and still trying to get it done. I think
there's a lot of guys, too, that –
I think if he had Jeff Fisher, I think he would have been like, fucking him out.
A lot of young guys really look at him as a mentor to them. And guys who maybe were brought in, offensive linemen, to try and replace him and thinking, I'm going to get this old bag of bones out of here. And then before you know it, they start working with him and they start realizing just how good he is. And it creates a bond with those guys. And he is a bond with the younger generation that most of the older players don't end up developing, because the older players look at the younger guys like they're coming to take me out. And the younger players look at him like, okay, time to go, old man. But they look at him and it's like, oh, wait, no, I need to sit under the learning tree.
And I got to say this. Look, I want to say this about the Chargers. Now that I've seen the Eagles make their move, and I'm thinking about the stability of organizations and how they look and attracting talent, I want to say the Chargers are a little more stable than I think I gave them credit for. With Justin Herbert, they hung in there with him. They hung with Bosa. They got the job done with him, even though, the contract disputes and whatnot, looking back. And they gave what I'm saying. I think the more stable organizations give coaches who look like they're turning down chances to turn it around. And the Chargers did that with Lynn. He had a bad season last year. They brought him back and gave him another chance to get it right. He didn't. Now they let him go. I think that is what you need to do in order to keep the talent flowing towards your team, like coaching-wise, trying to get coaches in there. I think, the Cowboys, for their credit, they did do that with Garrett, even though I thought they should have cut that stuff short. So my point is that in order to attract coaching talent in the future, you're going to have to hang with coaches and give them chances to turn around bad seasons, or you're going to turn coaches away. And I think the Chargers have done that. What I will say is the better organizations out there, the Browns have turned around a lot. I think Jack Dorsey had a lot to do when he was there of getting that started, getting that whole culture.
And I'm hoping that that's the role he's going to end up playing with the Eagles.
I think he will. I think that's an excellent choice to bring him as a consultant. Jack Dorsey has a way of looking at things and going, this is jacked and this is jacked. And I don't care what kind of talent you got. If you don't have these things straight, no one's going to want to come here. No one's going to want to be a part. You have to get players excited to be drafted to your team. They have to think there's something good starting over there. Like the Browns getting Baker. Baker didn't look that good in the beginning. But the point is he brought a pizzazz, got them talked about in the news.
Like, yeah,
and that's what you need. You need something like that. So that really just leaves who? As far as bad organizations right now, the Jaguars, the Jets. Who else?
Yeah, I really think that's it. Because
everybody else has got
talk about organizations that aren't running well right now. Because I think there's a difference between not running well right now and being just a bad organization. Like a bad organization is an organization that has been there a while. It's been at the bottom for a while. Like the Jets are a bad organization. They seem to have no interest in trying to become a winning organization. They don't want to attract the right guys. I think that they're content to just, become middle of the road.
And the Jaguars have a chance to fix that. They have a chance to get a coach and get a top quarterback and make a new culture set up there. And, and Marone, when he was there, he wasn't that bad of a coach. I don't think he did anything to put it this way. He didn't leave them worse than he found them. No,
definitely. In fact, he took them to an AFC championship game. They probably should have won that game against the Patriots.
When Ramsey was calling out Brady, which probably is what fired Brady up to drill hole through him. But I will say, like I said,
you best not miss.
As long as you don't make the team that you were coaching worse, then that means your franchise is slowly crawling, but you're looking for that spark to ignite it and make them fly. I think the Jaguars have that chance. The Jets, no matter what they do, they keep freaking falling the same direction every single year. The only time the Jets got any respect other than name of days was when they had Quebec and Rex Ryan, and they competed with 2010, somewhere in there. They got in the playoff.
And they made it to back-to-back AFC title games.
And that's it. Yeah. And since Name It, that is the only shine they ever put back on themselves. And when Rex Ryan got fired, and Rex Ryan wasn't getting the job done at a certain point, so I get it, but he did leave them a little better than he found them. After that, it's like they just went right back to how they were before Rex even arrived. And I don't know if it's a New York attitude. I don't know what it is about the Jets, or if it's just the owner. Obviously, he cares to a certain point. The Bengals would probably be another organization. I'll give them credit because they hung with their coach all the way through, and they got Joe Burrow.
It was mainly just because Paul Brown just didn't want to pay him any dead money. He's like, hey, if you're going to be making this money, you're going to work for it. Yeah.
And if you watch Hard Knocks with the Browns, the owner, even the way he talks, he seems so monotone and boring. He seems like that guy that's uninterested anyways. But the Bengals are still better than the Jets. The Jets are now the old Chargers to me, just the laughing stock every year. Can't get it right. And what's weird is they're cocky. That's what I don't get about them. I'm like, they're cocky as if they're doing something right. Like, if you watch Hard Knocks with Woody, he even sits in a chair like he's got it all figured out. He's making all the right decisions. And I'm like, when they got Sanchez and whatnot, I'm like, they try to like build around Sanchez and do things. Now, I do want to say this. Picking up Quinn on the Cowboys as defense coordinator was an extremely smart choice.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very good choice. First of all, our defense is crap. Now, we now have a coach who I think can get that straight. He can get that defense worked out in 1 to 2 years, I think.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
Good choice on that one. So if you had your pick before we close out, who would you like to see interviewed who currently isn't being interviewed, and who do you think will actually end up being picked? Like, give me 2 names you think one of these 2 will actually probably end up being the Eagles coach.
Okay, I'll give you 2. I'll give you the guy who I'd like to see them interview, but so far it hasn't been listed. Peter Carmichael, the offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. I think he'd be a good candidate to come in.
I didn't even think about him. Yeah.
If you drafted Jalen Hurts with the idea that you were going to run him in this kind of spot like the Saints run Taysom Hill, why not grab the coach that coached a quarterback and Taysom Hill? Yeah. Like, to me, that would make a lot of sense. I really like Robert Saleh. The defensive coordinator of San Francisco. To me, whether it's an offensive or defensive guy, in my mind, is irrelevant, because if you have that good CEO type, that's the kind of coach I like, is that guy who's kind of the overseer. And like, he just coaches the coaches, the assistants, and the assistants run everything else.
Kind of like Belichick does. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lets Daniels do his own thing on offense, pretty much.
Right. And so that's what, so Saleh would be my choice. And as far as a second guy from who they've talked about interviewing, I'll go with Todd Bowles. I like him a lot.
I like Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
I think Todd Bowles
I feel like he's never really gotten a fair shake in any of his coaching.
Now, if you could go get anybody, no matter where they're at right now, what they're doing, if they're a head coach, retired, whatnot, who would you take? Who would you go get?
I'll give you one active and one all-time guy. Okay. The active guy is probably going to surprise you with Sean McDermott.
Yeah, that's
the coach of the Bills.
That surprises me. Okay.
And all-time, I mean, hey, like, if I can resurrect Don Shula and
oh my God! I did not think you were going to say that.
Well, I had to say it just because I knew it would bother you. My dad would be a cool one. Just because I feel like I would like a guy who's going to rattle Carson Wentz's cage a little bit. You know what? I'd love to have somebody walk in and be like, so you didn't like Doug Pederson? Well, you're going to hate me.
Yeah. I'll make you better, but in the process, you're going to hate me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, in all seriousness, Bill Parcells will be another guy. Like, he just won everywhere he went.
Speaking of which, so I think the Chargers may take Jason Garrett. And for all the people that talk trash about Jason Garrett, including myself, I didn't like him for the Cowboys anymore. He had a better winning percentage than Bill Parcells. And from Princeton. So a lot of people don't think about things like that. I didn't like him because I thought he was like Tony Dungy. He had tapped out what he could do with my team. We needed to go a step further. But I think he would be a good fit to me for being a Chargers head coach.
I'll give you that. Yeah, I think that would, yeah.
I'll bring up the stats next time of his coaching career. He's actually, when you look at his stats, if you didn't see his face, you would think I bet you think of a couple other coaches he'd probably be. If I could have any coach the Cowboys, I would either want Urban Meyer or Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
And I think I like the college coaches because I think they understand the current gen of players better than current NFL coaches handle.
Yeah, especially if you're going through a rebuild. And I almost feel like that's what the Eagles are going to go through. Like, you want somebody to identify with the younger players. Because then when they're all maturing, you've got a guy who's been with them. He was there. He probably recruited a lot of them in college. And now here he is getting them all grown up in the NFL.
Well, and a lot of people don't know this, but Jimmy Johnson had a psychology degree.
Mm-hmm.
He knew how to handle personalities. He knew how to deal with them and still be the head honcho and discipline.
So well.
Yeah. So, something to think about.
That and all the cocaine he got him.
Well, that's Michael Irvin. He kept it in the Super Bowl ring. He pop it open, snap, close it. All right, man.
All right, yeah. Thanks everybody for listening, joining in. Yeah, I really appreciated everybody at NSN. We'd like to thank you guys for all the help and support they've given. The Phillyverse and all the shows that we produce. Got new stuff coming all the time. So stay locked in for your home for all things football and otherwise. As in a couple of weeks, I don't like talking about it, but after the Super Bowl kind of gets a little, we put Landry here on suicide watch, as I remind him how many days until the next football game.
I go back to my life coach channel and I constantly tell, people that I work with and whatnot, how depressed I am about football, and I ask for their help to coach your life.
So everybody have a great night, a great weekend. Enjoy the weekend of football and stay safe.